James V. Learning Program. This is the grade 11 lesson. The name of the lesson is Biological Processes in Human Body. So, in here first we are going to discuss about the digestive system. So, these are the parts in digestive system. So, one by one we are going to discuss. Here these are the functions. So, one by one we are going to discuss. First one, mouth. So, what is the meaning of mouth, or what is the function in mouth? Food enters to the mouth now. So, here that is the function. One by one we are here. Mouth is a one part in digestive system, but we are going to discuss about the buccal cavity. Buccal cavity is a breaking down of foods into small pieces. Breaking down foods into small pieces. So, here mouth we consider it as a buccal cavity. Food enters to the mouth and there are some enzymes that take place in mouth. So, chemical reaction, that means starch goes to the maltose by using the amylase. Though these chemical reactions take place in mouth. Starch converts maltose by using amylase. This chemical reaction takes place in buccal cavity. So, the function is buccal cavity is breaking down of food into small pieces. Now, we are going to see the epiglottis. This is very important part in the digestive system. Now, we are going to check how the food enters to the epiglottis. So, here look at this video. This is the food and the epiglottis, how it is passing through it. So, that is the how foods passing through the epiglottis. Now, next one, this is the food pathway. So, now next one is esophagus. So, in here you should pronounce esophagus because O is silent in here. So, what is the function? Food travels in peristaltic movements. There are some movements in there, not normally foods never passing through in a straight way. They are just passing through in the peristaltic movements. Next one, stomach. Helps to break down into small pieces. Helps to break down into small pieces. In here, there are some chemical reactions. Now, we are going to see what are the chemical reactions that affect to the stomach. Normally, food store in the stomach 3 to 4 hours. Then, stomach will secrete HCl. Because of that, there is a especially juice is there. We call it gastric juice because stomach will secrete the HCl juice. Now, next one is small intestine. What is it? Small intestine. So, what is the length of the small intestine? It is 7 meters. 7 meters. So, and this is the most important part now we are going to discuss. What is it? Enzymes in food digestion in small intestine. These are the enzymes. Can you see it? So, these are the enzymes. What is the organ? Pancreas, small intestine. There are two types of organ in here, pancreas and small intestine. What are the enzymes in pancreas? Trypsin, amylase and lipase. Trypsin, amylase and lipase. So, what are the substrates that affect these enzymes? Protein, starch, lipids. These are the enzymes, these are the substrates. And what are the end products? Polypeptides, maltose and fatty acids and glycerol. So, pancreas, enzyme, these are the enzymes. Those enzymes affect which substrate? These are the substrate, that means protein, starch and lipids. And this is the final products. polypeptides, maltose, and fatty acids and glycerol. Small intestine. Now this is another organ, it is a small intestine, the length is 7 meters, and the enzymes are maltase, sucrase, lactase and peptidase. Maltase, sucrase, lactase and peptidase. So these are the substrate that affect those enzymes: maltose, sucrose, lactose and polypeptides. What are the end products of those enzymes? Glucose, glucose and fructose, glucose and galactose, and here is amino acids. So one by one you can see this is enzyme in small intestine, maltase, substrate maltose, and the end product is glucose. Here also sucrase, enzyme is sucrase, substrate is sucrose, and the end product is glucose and fructose. Here enzyme is lactase, substrate lactose, and the end product is glucose and galactose. And the final one is peptidase and the polypeptide and the amino acids. These are the enzymes you should know. So if you are just difficult to remember those things, more than thrice you can write it and practice it. It's really easy when you are just practicing and writing those chemical reactions. Now next one is stomach. Now you know the function of stomach. What is it? Helps to break food into small pieces. Next part is duodenum. What is it? Duodenum. What is the function of duodenum? Receives bile duct and pancreatic duct. Receive bile duct and pancreatic duct. Next one is small intestine continues to digest food. They are just continuous to digest food. And large intestine get waste product from small intestine. Before the last one, rectum stores solid waste, and the final one, anus. You already know the function of anus. It's a waste is eliminated from the body. Waste eliminated from the body by doing which one? Anus. Now we are moving to the most important part of the digestive. This is the structure of villus. So this is intestinal villi. So those are the two major facts that we are going to discuss. Here is blood capillaries. So can you see the blood capillaries? These are the blood capillaries. What is the function of blood capillaries? Absorb glucose. Absorb what? Glucose, that means C6H12O6. Absorb glucose and amino acids. Other one is what? Lymph vessels. What is it? Lymph vessels. So what is the function of those lymph vessels? Absorb fatty acids and glycerol. Absorb fatty acids and glycerol. Here, now you have already know about the functions and the parts of the digestive system. Now we are just moving to the diseases associated with digestive system. That means what are the diseases now we are going to discuss. First one, gastritis. Second one, typhoid fever, and this one is constipation, and here is diarrhea. So normally what are the causes, what happens? So when you are just skipping the meal and when you are just eating some salty food, you can normally when the person is eating those salty and spicy food, they will have those persons may have gastritis. What are the symptoms? Vomiting and abdominal pain. You can see it here, right? And next one is constipation. Constipation means you are not taking fluid. So if you are not taking fluid and if you are not taking the fibers in your diet, so maybe you have constipation. So what are those symptoms are in those diseases? Vomiting and abdominal pain, this is it. And typhoid fever is caused by the bacteria, and there are some symptoms just like vomiting, same diseases symptoms are there. And the diarrhea, it's also same, and it's done by the bacteria or virus. Sometimes maybe pathogen is there affect to here. Those are the diseases, those are the main diseases that affect to the digestive system. That means if you have those symptoms, that doesn't mean that you have the gastritis or typhoid fever or constipation, not just like that, but you have to just think, if you have some symptoms of those diseases, you should go just check and ask for a doctor what happened or something if you have those kind of symptoms. Now we have the good knowledge about digestive system. Now we are just moving to the respiratory system. Those are the main parts of respiratory system. It's a nasal cavity, pharynx, larynx, bronchilus, alveoli, diaphragm, and here this one is trachea, lungs and bronchi. Now we are going to move to the what are the functions of those parts. So in here you can see main parts of respiratory systems are nasal cavity, pharynx, larynx, trachea, bronchi, bronchilus and alveoli. So internal surface of nasal cavity is covered with what? Mucus, this one. And due to the presence of mucus in the nasal cavity, the lining of it's a moist because it has cilia, it's protect from the dust particles, and this prevents the entering of them and the lungs by rhythmic movements. There are some movements in here, rhythmic movements of cilia. What happen? Waste materials are sent out because of rhythmic movement of cilia, and dust particles moves out. Here now we are going to discuss about the changes that take place when inhaled air passes through the nasal cavity are as follows. What is it? First one is moisturizing and or humidifying inhaled air. Second one, warming up of inhaled air up to body temperature. Removal of foreign matter from inhaled air. Now this is the most important part. What we call it is ventilation. That means inhalation and exhalation. Inhalation and exhalation. When the inhalation is here, what is it? Air inhaled. Air inhaled. And what happened to the rib cage? This is, we call it rib cage. This one is. So rib cage expand as rib muscles. Rib cage expand as rib muscles contract. Rib cage expand, rib cage expand. Can you see? This is just rib cage expand and muscles contracts. But this is, we call it inhalation. So in here diaphragm contracts. So this is the diaphragm. Can you see? This one is diaphragm. What happened to the diaphragm? Diaphragm contracts. Now we are just moving to the exhale air, the opposite part of the inhalation. What happened to the exhalation? Rib cage. Now here is expand. No? When inhalation is here, here is what happened? It gets smaller. What happened to the rib cage? It gets smaller as rib muscles relax. What happened to the rib muscles? Relax. But when the inhalation, what happened? The rib muscles contract. So you have to, when I am explaining this, you are going to see the differences between inhalation and exhalation. So here rib cage gets smaller as rib muscles relax. Now we are going to see the diaphragm. What happened to the diaphragm when you are exhaling air? So here look at the diaphragm. Diaphragm relax. When you just exhale air, what happened to the diaphragm? Diaphragm relax. And you are just taking what is the final thing you are going to do? Air exhale. So when you see this diagram, you should see the differences between inhalation and exhalation. So now we are just moving to the structure of an alveolus. This is the structure of alveolus. Blood capillaries you can see, alveolus, and this one. Those are the blood capillaries. The red colors are blood capillary. So in here, red blood cells. What is the function of red blood cells? Absorb the oxygen and transport oxygen. And here plasma. Plasma, what is the function of plasma? Transport the carbon dioxide throughout the body in the form of bicarbonate. This is the chemical formula of bicarbonate. This is the chemical formula of bicarbonate. And the last one is process of gases exchange by using which one? Diffusion. So those are the main facts of alveolus. Here, those diseases, I know you already know these diseases because those are very common diseases by the respiratory system. So first one is common cold. We already have those kind of diseases because any student face the common cold. And here pneumonia. Pneumonia, can you see what happened to the alveolus? These are things. Alveoli, see the difference? This is normal person alveoli. See, is there any change? But the pneumonia, when the person who has the pneumonia, look at what happened to the alveolus. You should see the difference, right? And next one is asthma. See, this one. And so what happened to the asthma? So normal, this is, he is just using what kind of thing? Inhaler. So it's some kind of familiar diseases. Because of those who has the asthma, they can't say the long sentences, right? Because when they are just say the long sentences, it's really difficult to that person. These are. So look at the here alveolus and air sacs. What happened to the air sacs? And they are just getting the air is less. When the person who has asthma, that means he is just difficult to breathe. And here is bronchitis. Bronchitis is, this is the normal bronchial tube. That means that the person who does not have the normal bronchitis disease. And what happened to the when the person who having the bronchitis? See the difference in between bronchial tube. Now you have already knew about the digestive system and respiratory system. Now we are going to discuss about process of excretion. So what are the parts of, these are the major part of excretion. What are they? Nephron and renal tube. Those are the major parts. And here I am not discussing other parts. These are the major parts. Here these are each nephron consists of. So you can see how the blood passing through it. You can see blood in and out. So here renal tube which coils. So can you see the renal tube? This is what happened? Renal tube which coils twist from the glomerulus and ends with the collecting duct. This is the part of that we are just collecting the duct from here, from the excretory. That means waste material, how the what happened to the kidneys and those things we are just discussed about those excretion. What are the waste product? Carbon dioxide, urea, uric acid, ammonia, nitrogenous compounds. Those things we are just discussed in this part. And those are the diseases that affect to the urinary system. What are the? Renal failure, right? You can see this is a renal failure. And what happened to the nephritis? One kidney is what? What happened? It's this one. It's swollen. Can you see the difference in between? And this one is what? The famous one is that means calcium in kidney and bladder. So in your home, this is just a small question that I won't ask from you. When you are preparing the dry fish that your mother, did she add the tomatoes in that food? That means when your mother preparing some dry fishes, no, when she prepared dry fish, did she add the tomatoes? So this is the process, right? This is the answer. Normally when your mother prepared dry fishes, tell to her, don't add tomatoes. The reason is dry fishes has which kind of elements? Calcium. And tomatoes, what kind of chemical is there? Oxalate. Oxalate, we call it C2O4 2 minus. Then the combination of calcium and oxalate, calcium oxalate, that means what? This is the stone. See, that's why on today onwards you have to tell your mother that when she prepared some dry fishes, don't add tomatoes in that dry fishes. So now we have the good knowledge about the diseases associated with urinary system. Now we are just moving to the blood circulation. What is it? Blood circulation. This is, we can categorize into two. Blood we can categorize into two, plasma and blood cells. So plasma again we can categorize into two, serum and protein. Blood cells, erythrocytes, that means red blood cells. There is another name for the red blood cells, we call it erythrocytes. And here is WBC, means white blood cells, and the platelets. So again blood cells and its type of with its function. Those are the blood cells. Can you see it? This is the monocyte. Can you see? Monocyte. And here students, it's a eosinophil. This one is basophil, and lymphocytes. Here is neutrophil, and this one is what? Red blood cells. And here can you see the last one is, this is, we call it platelets. Platelets, red blood cells, basophil, neutrophil, eosinophil, monocytes and white blood cells. White blood cells we can categorize it those groups. Blood circulatory system. In this system I am not going to explain more than that, because last year, that means last O-levels, so they are just asked about this system. So you have to focus digestive systems and respiratory system more. That doesn't mean you don't need to follow this system. You have to follow this, because multiple choices can come from this lesson. So you have to follow this lesson, and this is blood circulatory system. I am just going to say main points in this system, right? You have to just know about the double circulation, systematic circulation, pulmonary circulation and coronary arteries. So in here these are the major parts of human heart, right? So there are 4 chambers in human heart: left atrium, left ventricle, right atrium and right ventricle. Left atrium and left ventricle, there are 2 valves you can see in here. So in bicuspid valve in between left atrium and left ventricle. Tricuspid valve you can see right atrium and right ventricles. So in here. So these are the main points in blood circulatory system. First one, double circulation. What is it? The blood passes twice. Double means twice, no? The blood passes twice through the heart, as it passes once through the body. And the other one is systematic circulation. Start from left ventricle and supply blood. start from left ventricle and supply blood to various organs in the body. Third one, pulmonary circulation, blood flows through the lungs. And the last one is coronary arteries, supply blood to the arteries. Those are the major parts, and this is the major stages of the cardiac cycle. Right? So, what are the major parts of the cardiac cycle? Diastole, systole, intervening. Those parts, last year paper, last year science O-level paper, they already asked this part. So, diastole means here you can see this part P is a diastole, that means atrial depolarization here, and ventricular depolarization is here, that means QR this part, and here is ventricular polarization. So, now we are going to see the differences between sympathetic nervous system and parasympathetic nervous system. First one, I am going to give just a small example. When a person gets scared, so just imagine now you need to go to the washroom in 12 am or something. Now we are just go to the washroom. Suddenly when you are just go to the washroom, you saw a cobra or some snake. So what happened to your nerve system? First one, what happened? Heartbeat increases. When you see the snake, what happened? Your heartbeat increases. Then what happened to your pupil? You have just pupil of eye becomes dilated. You are just pupil of the eye become dilated. Now you are just looking at the whether this is whether this snake bite or not. You are just eye becomes dilated and look at it whether one is cobra or python. What kind of animal reptile is that? So next one, pressure increase. Now you are just pressure increase and the breathing becomes faster, faster. So when you are just coming to release the urine, no, but in that time, so you can't release it because you are just see the snake, no. So in here what happened? Your bladder contracts, So when this system occur when the person gets scared. So now we are just moving to the parasympathetic nerve system, the opposite part of the sympathetic nerve system. Now you just need to go to the washroom, right? So you are just thinking and now just think, heartbeat decreases. So there is nothing in when you are just go to the washroom, there is no any heartbeat increases is there. What happened to here? Heartbeat decreases. Then what happened to the pupil of the eye become not dilated, it is just like contracted, not dilated, and pressure decrease. So, and the breathing becomes not faster, solely it is cool and calm, you can relax the urine because of the bladder what expand and release the urine relaxes. Those are the two nerve systems that affect to us according to the situation. Coordination systems work together, process information received from stimuli and to produce appropriate responses. So, the animals have two coordination systems, the nerve system and the endocrine system. So, here is the coordination and hemostasis in human. This is the brain. So, how much? The adult brain weighs a little over 3 pounds, adult one. So, here you have to just know familiar with this word, what are the here. So, can you see cerebellum is here. So, this one is the cerebellum and this is the brain stem, those are the brain stems and other yes, and oblongata. Those are the main points you have to know about. This is the major parts and the function you should know. This is the last part of this lesson. So, in here we discuss lots of things. So, you just take a note and write the important parts of this lesson. Now, I am just going to summarize this lesson. So, what is the first one? Digestive system. When you are just study the digestive system, you should study the parts and enzymes and the functions. When we are just moving to the respiratory system, you should again see the diseases, those things you should study. And excretory, and when you are just study the excretory system, just study the parts of the nephron and kidneys, those things. After that, what we studied is blood circulatory system, human heart, the parts of the human heart and the functions and diseases also. The last one, coordinations, that means nerve system and the endocrine nerve system. Those things you should know, and I hope you understood this lesson. Thank you.